Okay, I just got in from work. I saw something very interesting right around 4 a.m. this morning. Some news has been around for the past few weeks, and, well, I'm going to share with you what it is and my thoughts. So, bear with me, this one's going to be a long one. Alright, the past few weeks, news has broken out that Viz has bought the rights to Sailor Moon. And there is there's just so much to go through. I have to start from the beginning. So basically the announcements that Viz has licensed the entire series, the OVAs and movies of Sailor Moon, and is also going to be putting out helping to put out the new Sailor Moon TV series, the reboot that's going to be coming out, and both will be not necessarily premiering, but showcased at AX this year, which I'm going to be very, very interested in seeing. What else is there? It's just so much to say, and like trying to put it in any chronological order is going to be very, very difficult. Okay, both trailers have been put out. The meowing you hear is the cats that are not mine. I'm taking care of. Why don't I go feed them real quick? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, the needless to say, I was shocked by this. I was just floored. It's like the entire property, the TV series, the OVA, and the movies. They're going to redub everything. Viz is doing everything. That's a massive undertaking. That's 200 episodes, a dozen OVAs ish, and 3 movies. That's going to take a while. It's going to take years. They're going to put it on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. So this is a massive undertaking. This is going to take a while. Okay. First little nitpicks first. Okay. Basically, they're doing is what Funimation did for Dragon Ball Z for their property, which is that they when Dragon Ball did Dragon Ball Z Kai, when they redid it, the voice, they recast everyone and re-edited in, completely unedited, the original episodes the way they're meant in Japan, meant to be seen in Japan. That's basically what they're doing. They're recasting and editing in everything. So everything's there. It's completely uncut. So everything's going to be closer to the original storyline. Which brings in a lot of pluses and minuses in my book. One is the names for things and people, and original genders, and original relationship dynamics. So there were 2 underling villains that were guys that they looked too feminine, so they decided to just make them girls. Serena and Darian, Rini, everyone else's names, English names, are no longer going to be used. They're all going to be their Japanese names. So be prepared to hear the word Jibi a lot when Rini shows up. But the thing is, we're going to have new episodes we've never seen before, particularly those in the first couple of seasons. Because a few years and years ago, an original box set of the original episodes was released in subtitles in North America, which is kind of nice. We get a handful of unedited episodes and episodes we never saw before, like the little brother not being afraid of Luna the cat. It was like the robot episode in Dragon Ball Z, where Gohan meets a robot out while he's out being for a year. He's out wandering the wilderness, under Piccolo's guidance or whatever. But before Piccolo starts training him, when Gohan's just like kind of learning to rough it, and he comes across a robot. Yeah, that whole episode was just cut out for just no reason whatsoever. It was just they deemed it unnecessary, so it was cut out. What else was there? The later seasons, minor like 2-second edits because it's a bust shot or something. That sort of thing, but not really much more than that. Oh, then this. Oh my God. This is what struck me, like just like whack, like baseball bat to the head here type of knowledge. It's like what? They're including, when they say complete, they mean complete, as in they're bringing in the final season, which is the Sailor Stars saga. Yeah, the Sailor Stars saga. When they say complete, I was like, well, I thought they meant the U.S. complete, which is they ended it the season early. No, they mean the Japanese series complete. Okay, I'm gonna go through this kind of bit by bit so people can get an info. Here's the info dump. This is what's gonna take the longest. It's basically the info dump. Okay, mid-90s. God, mid-90s. When I was first understanding what anime wasn't just another cartoon I came across, in the first 13 episodes or 13 channels ish, channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, Fox 11, and channel 13. Those were the channels that were around in that. That's basic television, not cable. That's just TV. On channel 13, I believe was 13. There was Sailor Moon on weekdays. No, I don't think weekends. And I'd watch this before school and stuff. And then it came on more on Toonami later on in the later couple of years later. Okay, so standard fare, what Sailor Moon is. Okay, Sailor Moon is it's a standard fare. It's by the numbers. Nostalgia Critic kind of used. He mentioned this a little bit in a rant review of what the number system is. He used it more as like a springboard platform base to start from, to kind of lead you to more of what formula is, story structure and formula is. And then he kind of went more into how sexuality is more accepted in Asia than over here. His review kind of wasn't so much centered on Sailor Moon as much as it was kind of just more of a rant, and it kind of just lost focus and stuff. So I'm staying on topic. So formula is that it's 5 female lead characters, each one basically a guardian of its own planet, but they all live on Earth for whatever reason. I don't know what happened on their own planets. That's never really explained. But each Sailor Soldier has their own element: water, fire, then something, but it's named after each planet. So each one awakens after being reborn on Earth and protects Earth from baddies, basically. And then here comes Monster of the Week. Oh, and they attend high school. So they gotta balance high school life and drama with saving the day. So apparently they have a full-time gig. Season 1 basically consists of that formula. Baddies come in, i.e. the Queen Beryl Negaverse Season 1 story arc. They come in, try to do bad things. It all deals with energy, pretty much. Negative and positive energy. a constant theme throughout the series. Now, this season basically starts them being introduced one by one, telling them their backstories, who they were in their previous lives, which is pretty short. They were just guardians. And they're looking for the Moon Princess. Who could that be? It was Sailor Moon, apparently. And she is with, she meets up with Darien, which is her love interest. He's from Earth. He's the guardian of Earth. And they meet and they have their like love-hate relationship in the beginning, and then they fall in love more and more throughout the series. So the first story arc is pretty much that, is everyone coming together. So it's the coming together story arc of what the series is going to be. And it's good. It's heavily edited because it's for North American audiences, and it's the 90s. Certain social themes and concepts were still being established. Particularly sexuality was still being established as a status quo, particularly in the 90s, I've noticed. That's just my opinion on it, my observations. So a lot of things were being a bit more sexually explicit because it's being socially accepted more. Okay, that's touching on that. Now, okay, so season 1 ends. They've edited out a lot of the violence. Tuxedo Mask, Darien gets impaled by a crystal twice. Queen Beryl gets stabbed in the chest by one of his roses. Serena gets slashed or stabbed or something by evil brainwashed Tuxedo Mask / Darien. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and the other Sailor Scouts get killed off one by one at the season 1 finale, which was edited down to one episode. They have a mini story arc go on with the Doomtree Saga. I forget for what particular reason, but anyway, that was that story arc, which is good. You know, it's a self-contained story. It has no bearing on the plot of the overall story of the overall series whatsoever. So you can cut it out and nothing would change in the series, not the character's growth or anything else. So it was just put there for filler, you know, for I forget for whatever reason, but it was just there for filler. And series 2 picks up, which I believe is Sailor Moon R, and introduced the concept of the future and everything. It was thinking about, you know, their future more, because these are high school students, you know. What does all this pertain? What does all this mean? Where are we going? Who are we? You know, and it answers these questions sometimes. But Serena's story, her personal story arc, is that she's a whiner. She's a coward. What she's described as in the U.S. dub in the 90s was flaky. You know, she's aloof. She doesn't want to take responsibility. She doesn't want to do this job. But in the end, when push comes to shove, she will do the right thing and defeat the baddie. But not before crying and screaming a lot. Yeah, so that's basically her job in her thing in the first season. Second season, not so much. We're introduced to Sailor Mini-Moon, not Sailor Mini-Moon. We're introduced to Rini, her future daughter, which was kept big secret throughout part of the season. She comes in, looks a lot like Serena, but you know, she doesn't recognize her own mother at age 16, 17, something like that. It's like she looks exactly the same as her mother, only slightly younger and a lot shorter somehow. And it's just eventually they come to a recollection that, okay, you are family, I do care about you, because they do immense tug of war throughout a lot of this third season or second season, however you want to count it. But we see the progression of the characters. They see them kind of branching out and doing other things. You see them grow up a little bit in that story arc, and then they defeat the baddies from the future, and they go on to the next season, which is the S series, I believe, where what was it? It's where the no, not the circus. It's where the science evil people. It basically all stems from Barrel 90, which is like the disembodied evilness that Queen Barrel's boss was, or something like that. It's just a presence. When they get down to it, like who's behind the curtain, like who is the boss's boss, or something like that. We get to the end, it's someone called Barrel 90. And which apparently is no relation to Queen Barrel from season 1, for whatever reason, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, we're also introduced to Sailors, Scouts, Uranus, and Neptune, and Pluto. And this is where the series gets a little risque, because in the US edit and dub, they're cousins, and they're very close. That's all that is said. In the original Japanese, they're a little closer than that. They're actually lesbians. And that's edited out until it's just said in their introduction that they're close. That's it. But we get all these like weird hints that, in their dialogue, they never talk about dating anybody else, let alone boys. Or boys, let alone anybody else. They are only seen in pair. They're never like with anybody else in the series. They're never talking to some other friend, really. They mention people they've met who are the focus of the episode, like with like another. It has to be a lesbian, because she like not flirts, but like tickles a couple of the Sailor Scouts or whatever while they're visiting them, because like they're in the area, and of course it's like the focus character that's like introduced for the episode who gets attacked or kidnapped by the monster of the week or whatever. Like she does like this weird did she call it the spider crawl, spider walk, or spider exercise or something, where she's wiggling her fingers like this, where she just puts her arms down and like does that, but it's like the Sailor Scouts are sitting on either side of her during the scene, and while she does that, like she freaks them out. She says, "Oh, I'm just doing my exercises." And I'm like, you're doing exercises with your fingers, but you're a runner. Why are you exercising your fingers? And it kind of dawns on me later, because a couple of years later, in the later 90s or whatever, I saw Inuyasha, and it reminds me of that monk that keeps groping all the girls' butts. It's that passive. I'm acting like I'm not doing anything wrong, but clearly I'm making you feel rather uncomfortable. Yeah, it's like that. And so apparently, when you get into more of the adult mindset, you're realizing, oh wait, she's a lesbian too, or at least curious or something. So they really toned down a lot of what was going on in the series at that time, and we get these like weird hints, like the backlit silhouette, heavy shadowing. Kiss sequence. He says, "Oh, remember your first kiss and this and that." And it's like, is that supposed to be disguising the fact that it's them kissing each other or whatever? If it is, it's not entirely working, because all I did was rewind it once and it's like, and pause. It's like, it kind of looks like them too, like an awful lot like those two. So if they're supposed to be alluding to the fact that it's not them, they're doing a poor job of it. And then we have the holding of hands. It's shot, and it's like, if they're trying to hide this or play it down or whatever, it's not really working too well. And then later on, we through the grapevine, the anime grapevine, we hear, oh no, wait, they really were lesbians. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I buy that. I buy that more than they're just close cousins. So yeah, they go through that. They go through morality because the Uranus and Neptune and Pluto are more adults, so they have more concept of what they're willing to sacrifice in order to save the day. So they're more willing to do morally wrong things in order to uh, the ends justify the means concept, you know. Uh, and it makes for an interesting dynamic where the children are looking at the adults, you know, saying, you know, and they're having this conflict of interest, you know, back and forth, saying you can't really do that, and says yes we can, because we're more willing to sacrifice more in order to save the world, you know, and to make it a good dynamic, and the fact that the Uranus and Neptune seem to when they're in like normal, because throughout like half the season nobody puts two and two together that the Sailor Scouts Uranus and Neptune are Maria and Michelle, I think what their names are, and it comes like a bit of a shock to them. But before that, when they're in regular civilian outfits and everything, you know, chilling and stuff, they tend to like. They don't hit on Serena, but they hit on everybody else. Like everyone has like this weird kind of like episode where Amara and Michelle kind of like incidentally hit on the character or do something where one of the Sailor Scouts is like attracted to them or kind of like crushing on them a little bit. They get a little flustered or something for an episode, and then it passes and it kind of goes. But it just seemed kind of interesting. And it's like, and then when later on when they realize, oh wait, that was you that whole time, but they kind of realize each other, like who, like which group was whom initially this whole time. We were friends this entire time. It's kind of a bit of like, it's like that's nice that they're now realizing this, and so it makes it nice that this like it was you the entire time. The entire time, you know, like that scene from Doubtfire in the restaurant, the realization, that was nice. Yeah, so when they talk and meet up with Serena, pretty much almost, not in every episode, but every couple of episodes they meet with Serena, and they would talk, like they would have like really good discussions and stuff with her about life and growing up and dreams and this and that, so... but in the first introduction episode, Serena was kind of crushing on the one that looks more like a guy. I forget which one it was, but the one that looks more masculine-ish. Serena was kind of crushing on her a little bit. Then after that, it was just more intellectual and insightful throughout the rest of the series until they finally realized, you know, who each other were. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good episode. The realization episode, two-parter. Then, what was it? Oh, and Rini comes back for the latter half of that. Oh no, not the latter half of that. The rest of that series and this and that, and that story arc ends with an introduction of Sailor Saturn, which is supposed to be, you know, the big reveal at the end of the series. It was like bigger stakes. That's what it was. Is this season was supposed to be bigger stakes? It was, you know, it was apparently more dangerous than what it was previously. You know, so it really tried to play it up. It wasn't like, and then the next equally evil force comes in and we're able to handle it equally. You know, apparently this was like supposed to be the greater, bigger evil than what had come before. So they're trying to up the ante, or at least the importance of it, and the danger of it with each passing season. Okay, so after this became S, so we're at S, so now we're at Super S. Okay, so Rini is now a permanent resident here in the past, living with Serena. Sailor, Uranus, and Neptune disappear for most of the season, and then they don't come back until like way later. This is the Dream Saga. The Evil Carnival comes. two-story arc season because we have two sets of bad guys from the same evil carnival. The first one is the trio, Hawkeye, Fisheye, and Cat's Eye. They come in and they check people's dreams because they're looking for Pegasus, which is hiding in, surprise, surprise, Rini's dreams. Because he's supposed to be the Lord of Dreams or whatever. And the circus, the evil circus, is trying to find him. Rini and Pegasus become like really super close friends, have amazing dreams. That's always nice. Love those sequences. The trio basically come in each week. They have photos, and they try to find guests from the candidates that this little bat eye thing finds that might have the golden mirror that thus has Pegasus in it. But when they're there, they're at this bar. The trio are at this bar, and the way they go through the process of going through these photos of these candidates is that it looks like they're trying to find dates or something. It's like, I choose this one because they're cute or handsome or something like that. It's like they're doing this more basically on preference because they look cute, which is kind of like, it's an interesting picking process for the bad guys. Whatever have you. It's like, okay, so they go to so they go each week and pick out each person. And in these past couple of seasons, we see the Sailor Scouts grow up. We see their characters change. You know, the animation gets better because it goes into later 90s and all that. But we see the character design change, where we see them not so much as kids designs, but more of an adult design. So they have hips, they have waists, they have breasts, to some extent. So they look more feminine, they look more adult oriented because they are growing up. This takes place over a course of years. So the character design does change slowly and progressively throughout the series. We also see them become more proactive. They go into after school activities. Not necessarily clubs, but like they have part-time jobs. They do other things outside of school and each other. They have other lives, their own individual lives, pretty much. So we see that peppered throughout the series so far since season 1, and boy relationships as well, which don't pan out hardly for any of them, almost whatsoever. Lita, which is Sailor Jupiter, has like a revolving door sense of boyfriends where she's trying to meet boys but doesn't really meet anyone other than that other male best friend that's introduced in that one episode in the mini season, and like that's it. I don't think he's like ever really shown ever again. I'm not entirely sure. That's about it. Mercury has a love interest who I think left in that mini season as well, which is coined with Rainy Day Man. A Memory Away. That was A Memory Away with Mercury and her supposed slight love interest, best guy friend. Rainy Day Man was Sailor Jupiter in the mini episode, in the mini series, mini arc. But other than that, she has like this constantly revolving door. She's constantly trying to find a boyfriend along with Mina, Sailor Venus. They're all trying to find this guy. Sailor Mars has the hippie guy friend, the dude at the temple. That's her love interest-ish guy friend. Mercury has one again later on, who is the pianist, or pianist, whatever how you want to pronounce it, in the musical episode, or piano episode. But it turns out he just stays an inspirational character to her because he's already with someone. Uh, jeez. That's about it. The Sailor, the older ones, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, don't have any wealth because Uranus and Neptune are into each other, and Pluto is kind of absent throughout a lot of the series. So we don't see her dating much, and plus she kind of stays in limbo a lot of the time. So I guess she doesn't really get out much to date. So anyway, eventually the trio is shown the poor track record and is basically given pink slip, i.e., pretty much killed off by their own boss due to lack of, you know, they don't get the job done. But then Pegasus comes in and says, "Here, I'll save you. I'll take you to the dream world where you can live out your dreams and aspirations." So basically, he saves them after Fisheye kind of crushes on Darien for a while because of feelings and stuff. Figures out Sailor Moon's secret identity because Serena says Serena / Sailor Moon says basically the same line to her, where the only thing good about you is your taste in guys. So that's kind of like the clue. She realizes, oh wait, that's Sailor Moon and blah blah blah. So they're safe, blah blah blah, and then the new quartet comes in, and these characters are a bit. They're more childish. They want to be more childish. They want to stay young and have their dreams. So they come in and they basically weekly hit people with colored billiard balls that aren't numbered because it contains your dreams or whatever. Anyway, so they hit people and it knocks out their dream mirror. So they keep going, but they can't find it. The proper dream mirror. But yeah, we see a lot more of them doing after-school activities and doing other things. So we hardly ever see them actually at school at this point. So we see them more at, not necessarily home, but more following more of what, this is more of like what they're dreaming, what they're trying to achieve in life outside of school and outside of being their scouts, having normal lives, trying out things. So a lot of that, of discovery of life, pretty much, in this season. A lot more on that. Like, what are people's dreams? So, we get into the circus's backstory, and then that is defeated, and Sailor Moon and Sailor Mini Moon, I like that, get wings, and they defeat the evil circus, and that's it for that season. Helios, i.e. Pegasus, goes back to the dream world, and that's it. Oh, and the quartet gets to be mortal and live on Earth. They repent or reform or whatever, so they get to live on Earth. Same as the Nega Moon people in the second season, well, full season. The quartet, the four evil ladies, they get to live on Earth, so they reform as well. Anyway, so now we've come to the end. That was it, in the U.S. No other seasons after that. That was it. And so, but then we hear about Sailor Stars, down the grapevine again. It's like, oh, and it wasn't released in the US. Okay, kind of, why not? And the biggest answer I got was the fact that Sailor Stars has transgender side lead characters. Let me explain that. There are other Sailor Scouts from other star systems. Because I have the subtitled one, I have most of the season. So they journey to Earth. They used to guard the galactic princess or something like that. She disappears or something. They travel to Earth. They're female. When they become regular people, they become guys. So apparently Dick couldn't edit that out or do anything with that, so they said, sorry, we can't. And thus dropped the series. So Rini's not in this one, but she's replaced by something that looks like her younger sister, or could be mistaken for her younger sister, but it's actually not really too much of a living thing. It's some sort of ultimate weapon. But she kind of takes the place of Rini for a while. Or throughout the entire series. Anyway, it opens up with Darien leaving. I haven't seen the beginning, but it opens up basically with the storyline that Darien leaves to go to America or something like that. Because he was a college student at the time, throughout this entire thing. He's graduated and is moving on, so he's going to be absent throughout most of the season. So there's a heartfelt goodbye or something like that. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. So Darien's gone. Serena is kind of moping again, but still a grown character because she doesn't whine or complain or scream in place or whatever like she used to. And they actually mentioned that throughout the series, where they said, normally I would cry or whine that I don't want to do this, but eventually I will do this. She's when she sees danger, she just transforms and gets the job done. And in life, she is actually trying to apply herself to something. It's particularly through Amara and Michelle. They really opened up her eyes to really try to do something. So she's really grown up. We see a lot of improvement, particularly in Serena in this throughout the series so far, and the growth in the rest of the Sailor Scouts. So the new Sailor Stars come in, but when they meet the Sailor Scouts in normal everyday garb or clothing or whatever, or disguise, or however you want to look at it, they're guys. They come into the school, and it's like their final year of the school year for the Sailor Scouts, and there's like a chemistry between the lead Sailor Star guy and Serena, because they kind of have the similar qualities of people they were in love with previously, but now those love interests are gone, and so they're kind of finding an attraction to each other. Serena is really not wanting to fall for this lead new character because she has Darien, but Darien's not there anymore. So she's really trying to not like this character at times, but she can't help but be kind of charmed by this character, because the character is incredibly charming and really wants to have a relationship with Serena throughout the course of the season. And it's eerily there's an eerily similarity between this lead character and Darien. One time in regular civilian clothing, he shows up on the school rooftop to save Serena from a monster in a very similar way to how Darien would show up. Has his jacket over his shoulders, looks like the Tuxedo Mask's cape, throws an earring or something, or a pen or a pencil or something like the rose Darien would throw that would barely graze or get the monster or whatever to jump back. So there's a lot of similarities between these two characters. So Serena is finding it more and more difficult to not fall for this character, and so that's the way that the series progresses. We see the villains, we see what they do, what their gimmick is for this one, and what I've seen so far, I didn't watch the VHS a few times because I didn't want to wear it out. And so when but we get near the end of this thing, and all the Sailor Scouts come back. They fight and everything. So this big, epic like throwdown. Like we're really trying to save the day here, and people are being taken out left and right. They're being dissolved or something. I'm not entirely sure what the heck happens to them, but basically they're dead. They get killed off one by one, and after pulling out all their ultimate attacks, they get killed. How much time do I have on this? And okay, good. They get killed off, and then all that's left is just Sailor Moon. And Mini, I don't know what they're gonna call her in the English dub. They call her Chibi something or other. I think they just call her Chibi. I'm not entirely sure what she actually has an actual name. She just basically is just a smaller Rini. Is all she is. She's some sort of ultimate weapon / sword thing that they try, but that doesn't work either against the ultimate big bad. So they all get defeated. They go with like 4 different ultimate attacks or something that don't work. They all die. And then the big bad shows up before Serena, and Serena sees all these different crystals, which are heart crystals or something. Anyway, she sees this one. It kind of attracts her attention. It's like, why am I being drawn to this? Why is this attracting my attention? Wait. Sorry. Back up a bit. Before the end battles, the Sailor Stars are singers. And they basically sing at this concert. The lead character sings basically a love song to Serena, saying, "Please give me a chance," or something to that effect. It's a really beautiful song, and Serena sees this big projection or whatever at the concert from the big Ferris wheel, and she wants to spend a moment with this character. She's just so drawn into this character that she just wants to spend a moment to just be alone, away from the world, away from everything, and just have a moment with this character. So they just want to just be alone for a bit. So that's what the lead character basically asks. Would you just come away with me? I have this place, this cabin in the mountains. We could just, just be together. Just be away from everything and just be. That's all I'm asking, or something like that. And so she takes his hand and they go up there. And they're alone for all the grand total of just the trip up there. So they don't actually spend any time alone, really, of my recollection. Because then everyone shows up saying, okay, now we have to go and do this ultimate fight. So that whole relationship concept is put on hold while everyone does all the ultimate attacks and then ultimately gets killed off again. And okay, so Serena's there and she's before one of the heart crystals, or soul crystals, soul gems, or whatever you want to call them. One attracts her attention. She kind of questions the big bad about that. And she says, oh, that one. Yeah, that one gave me the hardest of times. He was pretty tough. And she tells the story. He goes, him? Because, yeah. See, when I first got here, what attracted me was the guardian of this world. Or something. This energy attracted me to this plane. And the guardian of this planet, he got out. And she's telling the story. And apparently what I realizes was that was the flight Darien was on. What she's talking about is Darien, how she met him. She stopped the plane or whatever mid-air. He tried to confront her or whatever. He ended up getting defeated, and that's where he's been this entire season, was basically a soul gem in her collection. He was the first soul gem. He was the first to fall, apparently. And that's where he's been this time. That's why he hasn't contacted her at all. So she's been kind of missing him, going, why the hell hasn't he called me already? He's been a soul gem this entire time. Yeah, so that was a big revelation. It's like, oh, dang. It's like, okay. That answers a lot of questions. Or answers that question, at least. And then, so, everything in the series so far, unedited or not, or whatever have you, is rather pretty good. we see character developments, we see story arcs, we see proper imagination. Things are imaginative. They try to up the ante, or at least try to up the suspense, or the concept of the ante is actually being upped. They try to up the ante, and they do it pretty well. It held my attention for a good couple of years, well, the 5 years or whatever it was on syndication before they ended it. And then Sailor Stars held my attention pretty good. Even though it is the same old fare, the same old, formula. And they get grand spanking new weapons in each series and each season. New villains, basically, but it's the same old shtick. 5 female characters transform during crisis and balance their lives, secret lives with their everyday lives. So anyway, Sailor Moon does her final ultimate attack, which is more from the heart, and heals the big bad, which is actually the Princess of the Galaxy this entire time. Shocker. And she releases the evil she had contained within herself, and it goes back out into the universe or galaxy or whatever. And she's cured, and the Sailor Stars go back to being her sidekicks again. And that's okay, because now Serena has Darien again. Oh, and she does all this while being butt naked and has angel wings. Yeah. So the day is saved once again by Serena's heart, pretty much, because that's usually the end all. Ipso facto. If at first you don't succeed by defeating your villain, you defeat them with kindness, pretty much, by healing them. And there's also various OVAs by various different characters, so it's like a special, pretty much. And the 3 movies, which I have, which don't have the English songs, just the dub part, which is kind of sad. So, yeah. A bit of a letdown on that, but whatever. And the series ends basically same as begins, with the slight alteration or revamp, remix, or something. It is a slight variation on the opening theme of whatever it's originally called. It's the original theme song, opening theme song from season 1. Which is good, because the last line is basically says the world will always be saved because I am because I am Sailor Moon, or whatever Serena says. And then she gets kissed by Darien, and then it goes to the da 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 ba ba da, it goes into the song. And it's a nice little closing line and song tribute to the series. And when I saw that, it's like that's satisfied. That's closure. That's perfect. You don't need anything else. There's nothing hanging or left open or anything else. It's contained. It's proper resolution, proper closure. You can put it away and move on to the next anime in your collection.